Welcome to Reform the LA Way. I'm Monica Garcia, and on today's show, we are highlighting our work done at Young Oak Kim Academy and their focus on STEM subjects of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as well as their single gender academies. It's fabulous there. Joining me today are Principal Edward Colacion and math teacher Yvonne Wang. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Young Oak Kim Academy, one of the new 129 new schools in the LAUSD that helped us reinvent how we are offering services. Tell me about your school.
Young Oak Kim, this is our fourth year we've been open. I think when we opened the school, we really deliberately tried to develop a school with a purpose, and having our kids in single gender classes during the day, during the instructional day, and also coupling that with STEM, math and science, we saw it as an opportunity for kids to really be prepared. And as before they enter high school, coming from high school as a principal in high school, I was always frustrated. Our kids coming in ninth grade, we're not reading at grade level, we're not doing algebra readiness. So for us, it was just an opportunity to really purposely structure a school with the idea of getting them ready for nonfiction reading, for Common Core, for algebra readiness, because we know algebra is probably the greatest gatekeeper and truly the civil rights of the 21st century. If our kids can get through that, through algebra, through that into high school, we know they're going to graduate and go on to the jobs that are waiting for them in STEM-related fields. So that was kind of the purpose of that. And we also thought it was very important to give parents choice. Parent choice, we know, is very important. It's for some kids and not for all kids. So we have learned a lot in the last 4 years, and this is our fourth year. So we're going to share some of our ahas with you today.
That's wonderful. So let's just make sure folks are with us. This is 800 kids on 6th in Vermont.
6th in Vermont.
And when you say choice, what does that mean?
Our school is a neighborhood school, so our kids come from the areas. We opened originally to overflow crowding at Virgil Middle School, Brindle Middle School, so parents have a choice, and because of Title IX, parents cannot be forced to go single gender. So with NCLB, it allows parents a choice to go to a single gender, but they also have to have a co-ed middle school choice. So the parents who come to our school are neighborhood kids. We do have some kids that come from open enrollment out of the area also.
And so you have, is it split 400 boys all go to school or classes together and 400 girls?
Right.
Yeah, so all the boys are on the second floor. They have their own boys academy, their own counselor. All the parents go there for their meetings. And then the same thing is replicated on the third floor, but for the girls, they have their own girls academy with their own counselor as well. And then there's a group of teachers. We follow the students. So the boys, 8th grade boys, English, math, science, history. And the same thing, the girls have their 8th grade girls, math, science, history, English teachers.
And you said we follow the kids. Tell me about how teachers are allocated or part of the program there.
One way we do that is through our advisory program. We go with our students we start with them in 6th grade, we move with them to 7th, to 8th. We really watch and see how they grow. Academically, we are a very tight-knit group of teachers. As an 8th grade math teacher, I am seeing what they're doing in 7th grade. 7th grade teacher knows what they're doing in 6th grade. We really try to create that vertical alignment, knowing where they are and where we want them to go.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact of being with the same kids for 3 years? What's the impact of that?
I teach mainly boys, so the boys, especially in single gender, one thing really great about that is you target them cognitively. You really try to figure out what makes boys drive and work their hardest. And seeing them in 6th grade, they are being pulled from elementary. It's a new environment. They're getting 6 teachers rather than 1. They have their own locker. They have their own PE uniforms. Everything's different. They're kind of scared. Mom's there a lot, especially since they're boys. We're trying to teach them to be themselves. We see in 7th grade, they're trying to create a self-identity. Now they want to figure out who they are. By 8th grade, they're really trying to be prepared and ready to go off to high school. So seeing that, knowing that, helps me as a teacher know how to serve them and deliver my lessons, knowing that where they are in their stage of adolescence.
And what has that been like for you?
Well, I teach like I said, I teach boys. One thing I've noticed very much about boys is different from the girls, is they are risk takers. They are ambitious, tons of energy, tons of curiosity and wanting to learn. So as a teacher, I have to provide structure. I have to teach them to come together as groups and work together, because when they move on to a job, they have to learn to work with each other. You can't you can't just be by yourself. So knowing that, I create a lot of classroom management structures where it allows them to still have that curiosity and energy, but in a purposeful way, so that they channel it correctly in the classroom.
And I think we live in a co-ed world, and I've been in education for 24 years. In these last 4 years, I see education through completely different eyes, because we're very diagnostic and very deliberate. When you have a group of boys, for example, just bringing on the boys, in the 21st century, we're trying to develop these core skills of risk-taking, engaging in rigorous contact, which boys are really good at. They struggle with collaboration and communication. So when it's boys together, we really have to teach them how to collaborate, because they have egos. They come from families where they don't have a lot of responsibilities. They're the poppies, they're in charge, they don't do a lot. So we have to develop that and work with the parents and have very frank conversations with mothers about giving boys responsibility at home so they're responsible at school. On the same time, flipping that over, girls come to us very good collaborative, very good communicators, but they're not great risk takers. Part of what developing is their risk taking and engage them in competition. So when they enter high school and take physics and take chemistry and take algebra, they'll be probably one of 9, 10 out of, maybe 1% girls when they go into universities and into these, what we call the hard science, chemistry, math, engineering, and physics, they're ready. And we know we got to get them ready, because girls do not go into those fields, nor do African American and Latino boys. If you look at our universities, our kids are not there in the hard sciences. So preparing them to the 24th century skills. And with this model, we've started to learn a lot of things just because that co-ed filter is removed. They all wear uniforms. We all about uniforms. We really get to know the kids. We remove the skinny jeans, the Dickies, the hoodies. They all look the same, so you really get to know the kid.
Now, what's the purpose with that?
I think what it is, because society really, and the media, really generally stereotypes girls, boys, sexualization. And if you remove that, there's a certain thing where they come to the school and it's all about instruction and learning. And where I think our girls, for example, our 6th grade girls who went through co-ed come to our school and they're happy and excited, and like the boys aren't there, we can do our own work, and at the same time, they just engage and they have their voice. And our girls have voice with the single general theme, because with that voice comes confidence, and it moves on. Flip it around, the boys come into 6th grade and they're all there, but they're a little nervous because a lot of the boys defer to the girls to do some of the projects and paperwork. Girls are good recorders. Girls make posters pretty. So my 6th grade boys have a little transitional shock for the first 2 months. Like, they come to me nervous, like, who's going to do my posters? Who's going to make my pictures pretty? Who's going to write my reports? Like, it's time for you. So in many ways, we're developing these dormant skills inadvertently that we're in boys, because boys now have to step up. Fast forward 3 years later, our 8th grade boys now are better writers, and they're really excelling in humanities, where historically women excel in humanities. Our boys are really stepping up into the reading and writing. Our nonfiction piece, we've really pushed. We have a STEM library, so we push nonfiction reading, where we do book talks, where our math teachers come into the library and do book talks about math books, about science books, about history books. 3 of the 4 subjects that we are required to teach are nonfiction topics. Common Core is nonfiction. We know we migrate to a text-rich informational text as adults. Most of what we use and read every day is nonfiction. So we're being very deliberate and purposeful, again, bringing it back to the purpose. We are gearing them up before they walk into 9th grade. They know nonfiction. They know how to access informational text, but very, very deliberate. And so they're reading a lot. We require kids to read 30 books a year.
I love it.
We require kids to master 300 topics in math for online programs. We'll talk a little bit about the online programs.
Let's talk a little bit more. We'll be right back with more on Young Oak Kim Academy, but now a KLCS news brief featuring the recent State Science Fair where LAUSD students shined.
It's the 61st annual California State Science Fair, and it draws 1,000 students from across the state, from 27 different affiliated fairs. We have 880 different projects. Over 400 high schools are represented. A huge staff here at the California Science Center and volunteers that help put on the fair. We have prizes for 36 different categories in junior and senior, and they are awarded medals for first, second, third, and fourth place, along with a monetary award.
I learned about murky waters, this type of thing, in 6th grade, and I started to get interested in this type of thing when I was assigned a project on mangrove habitats. And what happened was I learned also about the Gulf oil spill, which had an effect on habitats as well on the Gulf Coast. And I got interested in this project because I thought, well, of course this is a big problem today with a lot of oil spills, and I thought it would be really awesome to do a project on something like that.
It's a big deal. It's the official California State Science Fair. Kids are very excited. We're in the middle of public viewing right now, and all kinds of people are here talking to the students about their fair. Tomorrow we'll have the actual judging and award ceremonies in the evening tomorrow night.
In the end, what I learned was we need to not only help clean up oil spills, but also need to find another way to change the things that are cleaning them up. So we need to find 2 different ways to clean the things up.
Welcome back to Reform the LA Way and our conversation with Principal Edward Colacion and math teacher Yvonne Wong from Young Oak Kim Academy. What people forget is that Young Oak Kim was a LAUSD graduate and a Belmont grad, and now you are building up this beautiful academy where students are really being challenged. Tell us more about teaching, or tell me about the teachers. Who would want to teach at a gender academy?
Well, one thing that's really interesting is we're on a block schedule. So that means we have the luxury of being with our students for an hour and 45 minutes. It doesn't feel so rushed. I don't have to do the homework real quick and then shoot them notes and just hope that they got it and then cross my fingers that when they come back, it's still there. So by the fact that I have so much more time, we really go deep into the lesson versus just superficial. We start bringing in things like technology. I use my iPad to teach. We have students create videos. We do projects. They can do full labs in science class. So the types of teachers that are coming to our school are really invested in providing a deeper understanding of the concepts, learning to chunk and maybe not necessarily try to cover the entire textbook, but cover the key points that kids need so that when they can go on to the next level, they're building on top of it rather than what can I remember? Oh, that's right, that quick formula, and then that note I was supposed to remember. So we're really trying to teach your students to become lifelong learners and not just quick and dirty, kind of like, here are the notes, here are your homeworks, come back, let's do it again.
So the faculty really has to take on the personalization and the differentiation to go deep for, did you say an hour and a half?
Hour and a half.
That's a long time.
That's
How do you see the teachers reacting with this
I think for some teachers, they run with it, they excel. It lends itself to project-based learning. Where the kids can delve into a project where teachers become facilitators versus sage on the stage. It's really important that we provide those chunks of times. I think kids coming from an elementary school model, the transition's easier when they're with one teacher all day. For them to have 3 classes a day rather than rushing and changing classes. The kids actually are only passing 10 minutes a day at our school. So for them, it really allows them to be there. And further along as far as the whole digital piece, I think one of the what draws parents, I think, to our school is that we provide them also opportunities for math and to support math. We want math to be extended 24 hours a day outside the classroom. So we have online programs called ALEC where kids can access technology in the classroom, practice it with Ms. Wong, but then go home and do an hour of topics that are aligned with Common Core, purposeful, standard-based mastery of standards, because that's where we're going with the Common Core.
Yeah.
So we're preparing for that. Simultaneously, we have a thing called accelerated reading, where kids are reading books. They have to read so many books. With that technology, we bring parents in. We teach we were partnering with Belmont Community Adult School, who teaches ESL classes. We teach technology classes. We teach parents how to access technology, how to monitor it, because we know there is this big digital divide with our Title I parents. So it's brought a lot of our students. In addition, we provide a lot of support systems after school. We have about over 200 kids who spend till 6 o'clock at our school. We work with YS Plus, Beyond the Bell, who brings in, we have after school math tutoring, we have access to technology. We also partnered for our 7th and 8th graders with Computers for Youth. And it was a matching grant that all of our 7th, 8th graders have technology at home, where we've actually trained our parents in a 4-hour workshop how to use it, how to plug in a mouse, everything from the basic technology. So we're really embracing the technology piece, because we get to teach the teachers, teach the parents. We also have a group of students called the Mouse Squad.
Oh, that's really cool, yes.
Where we've trained a team of about 40 kids who become our
They're
experts.
like
our IT experts, and they actually push technology into it, and they're now teaching parents and running workshops about technology.
So you must have extra money to do all of this.
Well, I wish.
Actually, to me, part of what I chose, what we chose really is with our $4,400 per child, we basically are just again, bringing it back to we purposefully use our dollars in very strategic ways, how to keep our high support really in place, being very strategic to offer these classes. So no, we have the same amount of money as anybody.
And it is amazing to me that LA Unified has embraced this idea of offering choices to parents, and the idea that a new building gave us an opportunity to really put a new lens on one way that parents are embracing. Tell me, how do you know this works?
Well, one way I see it in my own classes is I'm noticing these boys, their scores are just major jump. Just this past 10 weeks, I only had like 13 D's and F's maybe out of 200 some boys, and our API score is improving. We are jumping. Our proficient advance rate is high. You know, we get a hit because we do give algebra wall to wall. That means all our 8th graders are taking algebra, ready or not. But it's working because that student comes back to me and says, Ms. Huang, I'm an all-star in high school. I'm the kid who's helping the other kid sitting next to me. I feel like I'm so smart. Or I have a student who was struggling last year, and now suddenly he finds that his goal in life is math, and I can do this. And just that little inkling of hope is spreading, and he's doing better in English and science and all his other classes. So it's working. It's working whether we see it when they go off to high school or we see it immediately. But it's definitely giving them a sense of focus, a drive, a purpose to do better. And I love it when they come back and they're like, I feel so prepared.
I think we're really looking at the 612 pathway. We don't look at it as middle school. We think it as 612. We have 98% attendance rate. We have like a 2-3% attrition rate. Kids don't leave our school.
You have a 2 or 3% attrition rate.
The kids stay
Kids
there.
don't leave
They don't
your
leave,
school.
and they stay. And that, to me, is a testimony to us. And like our kids who become struggling math students in 6th grade, and maybe they struggle in 8th grade, and maybe they repeat algebra, but they become the stars. And for them, for many of our English language learners, being strong in mathematics, for them, it is the passport through high school onto university. A lot of our kids are very conscious of their accents and they can't speak well, but if they're good in math and science, they enter a very special 5% club in the world who's good at math and science. we're a very special club. As a former physics and chemistry teacher and math teachers, we're a little club. And we always try to tell the parents, like, we want to get your kids in this special club. So how do we, part of it's is sharing to the parents, there's this club of math and science, and there's even a more specialized club of chemistry, physics, math, engineering, that very few people at our school, our women, enter those fields in the world. And those are the opportunities. The Obama administration's all about green energies, innovation. A part of we have a STEM lab also that we introduce kids to engineering. We introduce them to green jobs. We introduce them to these careers at an early way. We are looking for pathways to placement in the high school. A lot of our kids feed into STEM high schools. Some feed into the Belmont Zone of Choice, some into the Kennedy, but many of our kids are seeking STEM schools that are out of the area because they now are so turned on to math and science. So there is that, again, I want to say it's really about the 6-12 vision that we look at. And maybe we only have them for 3 years, but there's a need for this to continue into high school.
So back when Richard Alonso and you started thinking about, wait a minute, maybe we should do something different. First, it was different to have an 800-kid school in the Belmont family. And then it was really different to have this idea of the gender academies and the focus on STEM. And now you've got almost a wraparound strategy going because you want them to have access to the technology, and you've got 25% of your school stays after school. There's just a lot going on. Has that developed? Was that the original plan? What would you say to others who say, I want my school to transform too?
Well, I think you've got to really be very diagnosed. I think as a scientist, and as a scientist, we look at things, we look at a problem, we hypothesize, we experiment, we try it, things don't work, then we reanalyze it. It's very purposeful in how you go through it. I think that's just the way I think, and we think. We're very diagnostic in everything we do. So as we see our kids struggling in mathematics, say, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do next?
We're going to put 4 classes after school for math tutoring purposely. Our GATE students, we saw our advanced and proficient kids were kind of lingering, so we added a technology gifted class after school to all students. We offered an art history class after school. We offered a music class. We expanded these programs. So you've got to really look at your data deliberately, diagnose what the problem is.
As a teacher, working in this school that's nothing like anywhere else, I feel like you need to really step back. And it's not about me, it's about what they need. And each year what they need is different. And so you need to try something, be open to try something new, and then reflect on it. Did it work? Did it not work? Talk to your coworkers, how are they in your class? How are they in my class? And then, you know what, the next year we do better, and we keep trying, and we keep reflecting. And every year we're learning, and it's just manifesting into this great culture we've created for ourselves.
And I think with creating this whole school environment of transparency, where I have to make mistakes publicly in front of my teachers, to give them permission to make mistakes, to give students permission to make mistakes, because some of the greatest mistakes come from misconceptions and problems. When you're a scientist, you always make mistakes, but those are the teachable moments. And how do you create a culture where making mistakes and trying things and risk-taking is celebrated and not afraid?
Is a part of learning.
It is. So it's what it is. So once you create that, and the teachers on board are very open. We observe each other. We go to other classes. Like, what are you doing? Like, we try to share best practices. We try to have each department every week do best practice share outs of what they're doing, what's working, that's not working. We bring it together. So we bring all the advisory teachers of 6th grade boys together. We have assembly. We have town hall meetings where we get all the 6th grade boys together, all the 8th grade boys, or all the 8th grade girls. We bring in guest speakers. We bring in Planned Parenthood. We bring in all these. Advisory provides an avenue also. When you have a single gender environment, you can bring in topics. We have gang prevention. We bring all these things in to have these purposeful conversations with these audiences. And these kids are really hungry for it. And the parents are hungry for it.
I love this community of learners. If we were going to tag it again, you're really building a culture, a community of learners. When you say we, who is the we driving the response to what the kids need?
I think there are so many components. Our
Right,
school,
right.
it works the way it works because everyone's on board with the counselors, our Title I coordinator, all our special needs,
Right.
all of our special needs assistants, all the teachers, all
Right.
the RSPs, all the aides, even down to the custodians
Right.
and the nurse and
Right.
even the cafeteria workers. Everyone is involved in this student's
right.
life. We see students walking down the hall and they're not just saying hi to their teachers, they're saying hi to the nurse, asking the cafeteria lady how
Right.
they are. Everyone is concerned about everyone.
And I think it's who you invite to your meetings. I invite my cafeteria workers in with my teachers and my custodians and my special ed assistants, and I let them know they're the ears and eyes of our school. And once you empower them, and it's distributive leadership. It's called distributive leadership.
It's distributive leadership,
And leadership
where everybody
where
learns.
everybody has a piece and everybody can make a difference. Whether the kid walking to the lunch line says, "Please, thank you, excuse me," that matters.
Yeah.
Where one of my custodians says, "Somebody's disrespected my custodian," we're gonna have a talk about that. I am extremely visible at the school. We all are. We bring community-based organizations in. We bring Carecen, OLA, KYCC, GRID, Koreatown Youth, all these organizations that Colonel Young Kim actually was behind. They are partners. We host Koreatown Neighborhood Council. We host the Mongolian Association, Little Bangladesh. All these organizations use our school after hours. So we are constantly bringing people into it because we can't do it alone. We know, but that builds a certain synergy between all of us to really bring things. Everybody has a responsibility.
So you've really laid the foundation for continued growth, and this is remarkable on its own. More remarkable that it's happened during a time where our district has experienced such a decline of public support by way of our state. So the fact that you folks are really growing this authentic vision of purpose and success is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I think that's part of I think our hardest job, I always tell our families, like being positive, it's always like really, really hard, but I have to give it to the teachers. I mean, they're the ones who are perpetually optimistic, and we can do it, and we can do it, and we can do it. Can-do attitude. We have to give our kids hope. It's really difficult economic times. Families are impacted by it, so it's something that we just move on.
We call it the Yo community.
Your community. Your community.
Yo community.
I love it. I love it. Well, congratulations to your entire team. This is wonderful. LA is stronger because Yoka is there. Thank you very much.
you.
And thank you. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to learn more about the reform efforts taking place in the LAUSD or to contact me, visit lausd.net. As we continue to reform our schools in order to create the best educational opportunities for our students, it requires all of us to do our part. I'm Monica Garcia. Together, we will reform education, achieve 100% graduation, and make the LAUSD the best school district in the nation. Thank you.